So this week we are going to watch one of my introductions to Kung Fu cinema with the masterful Enter the Dragon. It's a delight. I hope you watch it along with us if you've never seen it before, because it really is a lot of fun. But in the meantime, we wanted to thank you for following along with us as we dust off this old Patreon movie. And then past that, check out the link tree. Find us in places you haven't found us before. And we appreciate all you do to keep us on the charts and relevant, so to speak, even though we're reviewing a 30-year-old movie. Sorry, 50-year-old movie, probably. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Welcome to My Opio Movies. This week, we are talking about one of the most profitable movies of all time. We're Entering the Dragon with Bruce Lee. I'm host Nick Hoffman and riff around Cinefront, yada, email me. I'm Pat Fiash.
Hello, this is Daniel, a contributor to popdose.com. You can find some of my articles there. And I definitely had my ass kicked by Mr. Braithwaite. Jeremy?
We are talking about 1973's Enter the Dragon, and I realized we talk about all these movies out of order. Because this movie, of course, is the Bruce Lee's final film. It's a masterpiece combining everything from blaxploitation, Bond ripoff to martial arts film, which inspired Jean-Claude Van Damme's Bloodsport, starring also Bolo.
This inspired so much. This is Street Fighter. This is
Mortal Kombat. This is Mortal Kombat, which was inspired by Bloodsport. But like I'm saying, we just did these completely in the reverse order. I also, again, want to give that shout out to Bolo Yeung, who in here is also a guy named Bolo, but plays the final guy, Chong Li, in Bloodsport. He's the last guy. He's the one who kills, or almost kills, that meathead that's Jean-Claude Van Damme's buddy in Bloodsport.
Now, Jeremy can probably correct me if I'm wrong here, but one of the final mooks, he's a stockier Asian guy, which I'm not sure how descriptive that is, but I swear he was one of the three element warriors in Big Trouble in Little China that ended up inflating himself to death.
I'm sure he was. I mean, Jackie Chan is in this movie.
Yes, he is.
Jackie Chan gets hit in the face with one of the sticks. And apparently Bruce Lee apologized and said he could be in all his future movies, which, awkward.
Yeah. He had half a movie shot after this before he died, and that eventually got completed.
Yes. And of course, this is young Jackie Chan starting off. By the way, again, I may say this wrong, so I'll try. But Yeung, who is better known as Bolo Yeung, is the dude in Bloodsport. He's also in a movie called Blood Fight, which I might have to watch just because, whatever. That sounds incredible. And he was in a movie in 2017 called Diamond Cartel.
God, how old is he?
He's in his 70s. So
he was born in 1946.
There you go. But he's in a bunch of movies that have dragon in the title. And, holy shit, he's in the Zucker Brothers' first movie, Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yeah, because they did a parody of Enter the Dragon.
They got him for it. That's awesome. Holy shit. I love Kentucky Fried Movie.
The only thing I remember for that movie is there was a sex scene in a shower and they're pushing the woman's boobs against the...
And they're making squeaky sound.
Yeah.
It's a sketch called Capri Girls in Trouble, I think.
The one thing I remember in that movie is a guy opening a car and a car alarm goes off. So he's trying to click through whatever, and then eventually realizes, oh, my fly's unzipped, and he zips his pants up, and then the alarm stops.
Yeah, there's also a bit where in between each segment, it's the local news that was doing news at 11. They even do it at the very end. That's a pretty good bit. This is the best 100 minutes you can spend watching a movie. It's up there. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Someone to give the plot synopsis?
I say Jeremy.
Well, if you've seen, a couple random people are invited to fight at a mysterious tournament movie, you've seen them all.
That's true.
Basically, Bruce Lee plays a Shaolin monk who's, studying martial arts, and he's approached by, I don't know if he's a British government agent or something. But he says, hey, we've been following this guy named Han. He used to study at your temple, but now he's using his training for, ill-gotten reasons. We think drugs, murder. So we want you to infiltrate it, get us some information, and then we'll swoop in and do the rest. And I mean, that's it, really. You're not watching this for the plot.
No, and everything about it is it's funny. It's so paper thin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like thinking about it. I'm like, is this and it's funny because the whole thing is supposed to be this heroin thing. Because this is British Hong Kong. So like you said, there's Braithwaite. There's a British guy because it's technically a British colony, but they don't want to send to the cops because there's no guns on the island. So they're sending in spies to figure out what's going on. But they kind of forget about that in favor of the fighting competition until the very end when Wolverine shows up. It's very bizarre.
Well, Han's also in human trafficking, and there's that whole flashback within a flashback where it's revealed that Bruce Lee's sister killed herself after Han's guards attacked her.
Right. But again, that's like the revenge subplot, at which point, like, we get some great Bruce Lee screaming and breaking necks throughout the second half of this. I will also say this is the first movie of his we've done, but the director is Robert Clouse. But he also did The Ultimate Warrior, which I think is a stay tuned. Also Jim Cotta and China O'Brien, all of which I think we should do. There's a bunch of these movies, and they're all, I assume, martial arts movies.
Yeah.
I don't know what Amsterdam Kill is or Game of Death, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say...
Well, Game of Death, that was the last Bruce Lee movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they had a working relationship.
Yeah.
Although
He also did Jackie Chan's supposed to be breakout U.S. hit, The Big Brawl, which was not good. It has a big point of roller derby in it.
No shit.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now. It's set in Chicago in the 30s. And a Chinese martial artist takes on the mafia.
Yeah, it's underwhelming to say the least.
Dude, and it's got Luca Brasi from The Godfather?
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. Oh yeah, I guess so, because this is before he was in Cannonball Run, too. Because that's like 83, I think. Anyway, so, Enter the Dragon. Enter the Dragon. This movie made me want to watch, well, I guess Bloodsport, or Black Dynamite. There's a lot of blaxploitation shit in here. But yeah. So we essentially start with like a smash cut to martial artistry. Jackie Chan. Bruce Lee is fighting. His name is his name just Lee in this?
I'm pretty sure
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's easy. You don't have to learn a new name for your character.
Well, it opens with a sparring match between Lee and another Shaolin monk, and he's surrounded by like a square of other monks in multicolored robes. So like one side of the square is all in yellow, one of them's all in blue.
Yeah, and his opponent, played by Sammo Hung.
Yeah. And it's Bruce Lee, so of course he kicks the guy's ass.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Braithwaite, who's just there, is a British intelligence guy to one degree or another, and we're introduced to Han. We don't know anything about Han. He shows up eventually looking like the fucking chairman in Iron Chef. We'll get there. He even does the thing where he does a flourish and he picks up an apple. It's great. But they are... he essentially is asking Lee to find evidence of drug trafficking and prostitution. They don't know exactly what it is. But via some really shitty exposition, this is where Lee finds out that he was responsible for his sister's death, specifically a man named O'Hara, who is your classic white guy kung fu guy with a scar. And it's at this point you realize, oh, someone just did a bunch of Bond movies and one should do it all together. Because he's got your Blofeld scar across half his face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, even though this is Bruce Lee's signature movie, it's a signature movie for American audiences.
Yeah.
Like, you watch an old Chinese martial arts movies, it's just two people fighting, long takes, no soundtrack. this is, James Bond, martial arts, blaxploitation. You got to throw in the American elements.
Yeah, and it just feels like that. Because again, like a Bond movie, he has the mission handed to him. And you have all the villains have some sort of... Again, this is a Bond thing you don't really think about, but all the villains have a deformity of some sort, right? Like, we'll end up with Han, who's essentially Dr. No with the fake hands, the metal hand. But you have your star guy, you have, like, Bolo, who... We'll get to Bolo, man, but there's a scene where he just crushes people to death.
Yeah, unlike Bond, though, we learned how those things happened. Like, we learned how the guy got his scar, which was from Lee's sister.
Lee's sister, who... Something I do generally like about most martial arts movies, women are good fighters. In this, there's also a whole bunch of weird lady stuff.
I was wrong, by the way. It was the master that Lee speaks to who was with his sister when she committed suicide that sliced his eye.
Well, we do, like, this old man gives, like, a 10-minute monologue, which apparently we see in real time of her fighting off O'Hara, everyone's favorite O'Hara. We are then introduced to Rober, played by the late great John Saxon, R.I.P. last year, who is the degenerate gambler.
He's basically Sean Connery's Bond.
He's entering the tournament because he's in deep to some loan sharks.
By the way, when they were trying to figure out, like, was it after Roger Moore, they didn't know who the Bond was going to be, and it was almost Sam Neill? Is that right?
Was it?
Yeah, Sam Neill was on the chopping block.
He auditioned for it, but they decided against him.
But I mean, like, if you wanted an American one in the, like, 70s, dude, John Saxon, fucking A, dude.
Yeah.
And you say Sean Connery because we're introduced to him playing golf.
Yeah.
I love his caddy, this black woman with a huge hat is just taking phone calls for him. Again, it's a Black Dynamite joke, but she has just a regular house phone in the golf cart. It's fucking great. But he's a degenerate gambler. Apparently, he's in debt, something like $187,000, which I looked it up in 1973 money. It's $4 billion.
Wow.
And then we have Jim Kelly playing a guy named Williams. We don't get first name. There's not time for first name.
There's no need. Yeah.
Who was apparently John Saxon's... They fought together in Nam.
Of course, because again, this is Black Dynamite. This is whatever. This is Shaft. Like, I haven't seen you since Nam. Fine, okay.
Although I believe Shaq came... not Shaq. Good Lord. Shaft came first.
Yeah, probably. It's around the same time.
You're right. It is around the same time. I think it was... Shaft was 2 years before Enter the Dragon.
Yes. Also, well, okay, I can't just talk about Black Dynamite. That's. But I was like, isn't the CIA guy also named O'Hara, or is O'Leary? I think. But it just anyway. I love the random Irish cop shows though. We get John Saxon, who's as Wikipedia politely puts it, an indebted gambling addict. Now he's a degenerate gambler. He's gambling on everything this entire movie. At one point, he almost takes a dive so Williams can get some extra money on him.
Meanwhile, Jim Kelly's there because he beat up some hops and stole their police car.
Dude, that scene is amazing. Like, he goes to his dojo to watch this, like... half of watching ninjas fight... What year did You Only Live Twice come out? 67 and 98, something like that. Yeah. But, like, that's what that dojo is, too. It's just people punching in place. That's what you need. But they go to, like, this, like, black dojo. He shakes some hands, punches some fists, watches people do that. These cops show up to arrest him. For no reason, of course, because he's a black man in the 70s. This movie, I guess, is trying to say something. And they search his pockets. He has a passport and a ticket to Hong Kong. He beats the shit out of these cops, throws one cop at a dog, and the dog just starts biting him. And then steals the cop car, man. It's awesome. And then apparently he just drives to Hong Kong. I guess.
We also find out during the initial briefing scene that there's a woman Asian that's already on the island, Mei Ling.
Mei Ling, right.
Braithwaite also says, hey, while you're there, go ahead and look for her.
We assume she's dead, like super dead, but you know, if you got nothing else to do.
Well, it may be a different woman, but all of you look alike to us.
And he goes, there's also a radio somewhere on that island. You know, we'll be listening, just in case, you know, the plot needs to... you know, if you find it, you can end the movie. So let us know. We'll be listening for you to end the movie. So they arrive on this island. We should mention here, there's this fucking New Zealander who's an asshole. Right? They're going around, they're introducing all the fighters. Also, something that's a joke that we never get explained is that Roper has like 400 pieces of luggage.
Yeah, that's...
It's a joke. Someone thought it was funny. They disappear.
Wait, you didn't think that was funny? I mean, 400 pieces of luggage, that's more than the average person would need.
Especially since all he ends up wearing is the gi that they give him when he gets to the island. And a jaunty turtleneck. But they're all on this like massive junk, and they're on their way to this island off the coast of Hong Kong. And there's this one New Zealander, this Kiwi, who's being an asshole for some reason. And they're like, I'm gonna just do a Jermaine bridge from Flight the Concords. So what kind of fighting style you use? He goes. And Bruce Lee says, I fight without fighting?
Yes, he does. I believe his exact line is the art of fighting without fighting.
Yeah. And so the dude challenges him to fight. He goes, there's not enough room here. What if we fight on that island?
Yes, definitely dump him on that island.
Hey. He also becomes the first person, I think, that Williams fights, and Williams kicks the ever-loving shit out of him, which is phenomenal.
He's the Glass Joe of the movie.
Oh, dude, he is. 100%. I was literally playing Punch-Out today. That's funny. I'm very bad at that game.
Who replaced Mike Tyson in the new versions of that?
I honestly don't know. I have a Switch. I was playing the classic. I was playing like the old school, like literally. Oh, and by the way, this is maybe only for Jeremy, but I'm fucking terrible at a game that someone on Games Done Quick plays blindfolded and wins.
Yeah.
Games Done Quick, for those of you who don't know, it's a fundraiser for usually Doctors Without Borders, plus a lot of other...
Doctors Without Borders or Prevent Cancer Foundation.
But they run games, they speedrun. And one of the most popular events is blindfolded. And you watch someone who beats a game blindfolded that you suck at in real life.
Battletoads?
Yeah, the turbo tunnels.
Yeah, the turbo tunnel. Oh my god.
Insane.
Fucking... And then they'll do things like... Ocarina of Time randomizer in less than 3 hours. And you're just like, I gave up in the water temple again. I always give up in the water temple. Nintendo Switch has N64 now, and I'm happy.
I never had an N64 as a kid.
Oh, fuck it, really?
Yeah.
What is your system?
Well, I was a Sega kid. I had a Genesis,
baby.
and then later I had a Dreamcast. So
Really?
Oh yeah.
Did you have a Saturn?
I did not have a Saturn. No.
No one had a Saturn.
Yeah, no one ever.
Really? That was part of the problem, Jeremy. See, it was funny. I didn't have an NES or an SNES. We had a neighbor who we hung out with a lot named Livy. She had one, and we played NES there. But everyone I knew had a Sega rather than a Super Nintendo. But then we got a 64 and then a PlayStation 2. So I'm a PlayStation and Nintendo.
I mean, I certainly have friends who had N64, so I'd go over and play GoldenEye. And then,
yeah.
I had a friend show me like a walkthrough of Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, and again, no shade through a Dreamcast. It was a gorgeous system. It just... Saturn killed her.
Yeah. I miss Crazy Taxi, though. I'm just going to say.
Gosh, Crazy Taxi was great. I did have the PlayStation Simpsons knockoff.
Hit and Run.
Yeah, Hit and Run.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Was there a Simpsons wrestling game for the PlayStation 2 back in the day?
There was, I think, for PlayStation 1, in fact. They also had one called Road Rage, which was like a Grand Theft Auto-ish kind of clone.
Yep.
Which was good. I also like the Simpsons game, which was Wii and PlayStation 3.
Arcade game.
The arcade game is fun, but I remember this one called Bart's Nightmare, where it was basically a series of it was a series of mini games where
Hard as hell.
yeah.
There's also Bart versus the space music.
Space aliens.
Yeah, there you go.
There was this one mini game where you had to like throw tomatoes at students on picture day, and so hard to figure out what was going on there.
A lot of the Simpsons games were, a lot of Simpsons everything was cash grabs. Let's be blunt. Although I will say, I loved it. I wish they would make a collection and release them all on modern systems. I was play it all through.
So in other words, in this case, man smart, woman smarter.
God, fuck yeah. That's so funny. Tenuous and Obscure Simpsons, join the group. Not a sponsor. Hashtag not a sponsor.
Bray, do you listen to us, Bray?
Oh God, if Timothy Bray listened to this, Bray, but no. Also, since we're talking Simpsons nonsense and we're talking movies, re-release The Critic on something better quality. I love The Critic. It just, that DVD release that came out 20 years ago?
Close to that at this point. I mean, more than that. And Own High got this great re-release on Paramount Plus, which I got a subscription to over Thanksgiving so I could watch that new South Park special.
Oh, really?
Which is great. I've got 2 words for you.
Yeah.
Rabbi Cardman.
Of course. That's funny. I mean, and again, I Paramount, I think, to me, is the one that may make it, may not. God help me. I wish we could find The Critic on something better. I've had the thing forever. I know it was like a Crackle or some nonsense. Respect the damn show. Bring it back. Come on.
Welcome to Coming Attractions. Today we're looking at Bruce Lee in Death Wish 9.
Of course.
I wish I was dead.
Oi.
I mean, again with the Klingons. They were right about everything. Jay Sherman. And that horrible web series that can go rotten to hell. Enter the Dragon.
We got to
So they got to the fucking island.
we got the moon being dumped on the island and all embarrassed, but
We get to the island. We're at the island.
we're at Han's private island. There's a border dispute, like half of it's owned by mainland China and half it's owned by the British, so nobody can really do anything.
Right, and everyone's afraid to enter the island, which is the reason why he's allowed to get away with shit, kind of. When we arrive on the island, there's kind of this... Again, it's literally Mortal Kombat.
Well, there's a martial arts school on the island that Han runs, and then after that is an elaborate banquet, because of course there is.
Well, and again, it's literally this thing from Mortal Kombat. Like, they're all eating this incredible food, except for Williams, who's looking for something he can eat, which is funny. I guess, whatever. We already see John Saxon getting hit on by all the ladies.
And this is before there are literal hookers offered up to the participants.
Which we'll get to. That's kind of the weirdest scene in the movie.
Well, again, Han is a sex trafficker, so...
Yeah, and he gets the women by hooking them on heroin, we're told later.
Yes.
Well, yeah, so...
Was there a subplot in The Crow where Brandon Lee sucks out heroin from someone's veins?
Well, he squeezes it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what
Like
it
the
was.
snake bite?
Yeah, like you see through the puncture marks and just squeeze it, and you see like the white ooze come out.
I remember him kissing it, but I do remember that shot you're talking about where it's like a close-up of the woman's wrist, and you see the substance coming out of it.
I need to see that movie. I have not seen that movie.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I've heard good things. Yeah.
Soundtrack's awesome. The movie itself is, I prefer the comic, but what do I have?
Well, I mean, we also have to do Blade. I promised Jeremy we'll do Blade and Blade 2.
I got it on 4K. We can watch it together. No,
There you go.
That sounds like an evening. Well, it sounds like quite the evening. The problem with this podcast is sometimes we just watch the bad ones, right? Like, we've seen Blade Trinity.
Oh, God, did we ever.
Oh, we sure did. Anyway, so there's like this huge scene where people are like eating. We're being introduced to a bunch of the characters. We have a sumo wrestling fight. This also just feels very Bond. Like they're just sitting around there watching sumo wrestling. There's dudes like doing the snake and dancing and flipping around like acrobats.
Part of the thing of classic Bond was just all the quote unquote exotic locations they go to. So they go to Asia not for any reason in the plot, but just to showcase, oh, hey, Bond's in China. Here's what they do in China.
Well, and specifically,
It's like to leaving home without leaving home.
And you only live twice. They turned me into a Japanese.
But it's still better than how I treated your mother last night, Trebek.
but I mean, that's kind of a bit. Like, you're right. Like, they go to Hong Kong and You Only Live Twice or whatever. But it's also a travel law, right? Because people didn't travel as much. And so you do these long, loving shots of Macau or whatever, which is the one that they really nailed in Daniel Craig, but the Craig era. But they still do it. They're like, let's go to Che Guevara, fill the scene for No Time to Die.
Or even in The Spy Who Loved Me, that giant opera that they performed in the Sahara. It was beautiful.
And so that's kind of what they do here. We do see some great loving long shots of Hong Kong, but we get to this like giant, I don't know, square room, and there's just shit happening. A whole bunch of shit happening. And then we're introduced to the villain of the movie, Han. Han comes out, he's dressed like the chairman from Iron Chef. He grabs an apple, he's with half a dozen women. He flings the apples in the air, and they throw darts at them.
Yeah.
That. And then he leaves the movie for about half an hour.
For a good long while. I mostly remember him from the final fight, but we'll get there.
It's something. The Han tells them that they can't leave their room at all. And at this point, we get the women who are just shown around, the prostitutes who are shown around to the various men.
Well, John Saxon, Madden is escorting these women around, and John Saxon, when they arrive in his room, picks the madam as who he wants to spend the evening with, and she's into it.
She is.
Lee turns everyone down and escapes his room, and that's how he runs into Mei Ling.
No, I think he chooses Mei Ling as a prostitute. I think he recognizes her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so she comes to the room, and that's why she doesn't rat him out. Because he's like, hey, you're Mei Ling. I know you. I'm working for Braithwaite as well. He goes out the window, and it's funny because Williams also goes out of the room, and he sees this dude climbing up the hillside. He goes, fucking fly suit. Man in a fly suit. Or human fly over here. I stayed up all night dyeing my underwear. Come on. Speaking of get back. So he goes into like the heroin den, kind of. He climbs down into this hidden, Lee does, climbs down. I'm doing the hand over hand motion like I'm finally done. And gets into the factory for half a second before someone cuts his rope, or he feels the rope shake. He goes up. The guards, right, are there. He beats the shit out of the guards. He makes it back, so there's no witnesses, I guess. But the next morning, this is when Han starts the crackdown. We've already seen one fight where Williams beats the shit out of the New Zealander, kicks the Kiwi's ass. But here we're introduced to Bolo, and Han sicks the guards on Bolo, and Bolo proceeds to kill them one by one. And what's kind of the best scene, it's incredible.
Now, Saxon fights initially, and he gets his ass utterly kicked.
So there's this dude behind him with like tiny, tiny glasses. The man has the littlest glasses, and he's betting on Williams. And so, of course, Saxon makes money. And he goes, look, I got a pitch in here. I'm going to take a dive. And when he gets to 8-3, you bid it off. And so this dude is kicking the shit out of Saxon. And, like, best I can tell, Saxon is just tan, and then they, like, slightly give him more of a tan to show bruises show. He gets kicked in the noggin. And then the guy, and he keeps shaking the guy off. No. I just want to see Roper get the shit kicked out of him more. And when he gets apparently to 8-3, Saxon gets up, kicks the guy across the rest of the arena, and they make bank immediately. So quickly, in fact, that the dude is kind of suspicious, but Williams just takes the money. Robusto. Bolo then goes the next day, I guess we're up to, kills them one by one. But literally, like, the first guy, he steps on his neck like he's grinding someone into the ground, and you just hear it crack. It's amazing. Dude, it's amazing.
Yeah, and Bolo Yeung has a face born for villains. I mean, you just look at him and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. He's also like half a foot taller than everyone, and he's like twice as wide. Like he has the broadest shoulders. It's amazing. I'm sure he's also like a Schwarzenegger, the 70s-esque bodybuilder too. Like, because the guy is just fucking tank. One dude, he squeezes it. Essentially, one card he picks up in the fetal position and crushes him to death. He turns him to powder. It's amazing. If you haven't seen Kung Pao Enter the Fist, by the way, you've absolutely have to, because half of this, like, if there was a silly soundtrack underneath it, it's the funniest shit you've ever seen. Like, because Bolo is just crushing people, like crack. Like he turns people's head. It's incredible. Eventually, Bruce Lee starts doing it too, which is mess. But he gets the bad music because he's going too far. You see. Oh, well, I guess, is this where Lee kills O'Hara?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where Lee kills O'Hara. I guess spoiling. We finally see Bruce Lee fight kind of out in the open in this tournament. O'Hara keeps wanting to play dirty, but gets the shit kicked out of him. We also have like an all-time Nerds kick because he's like, he does a flying kick over Lee. Lee falls back and kicks him in the balls as he's flying overhead. It's awesome. It's truly amazing. And then, upset that he lost, he picks up 2 beer bottles but smashes them together. Oh, dude. Oh, I love this movie.
Yeah. And that's where you get the famous shot of Lee jumping on him and just doing the...
If you've ever seen a parody of a kung fu movie where people are going, oh, that's what this is. Yeah. And he jumps down, flexing every muscle in his neck and upper torso, and grinds the man's throat into the ground. And then Han, mildly shocked, goes, I'm sorry for his unprofessionalism, or whatever he said. He brought shame on this dojo, or whatever.
Well, there's a self-awareness to this movie. I mean, I think it's Williams who meets up with Hans. Is like, you come right out of a comic book.
That's the next scene. Yeah.
So, which is a great scene. It reminds everyone just what they're going for in this movie.
Right. So the next scene, essentially, is a break in this tournament. And Han asks Williams to come speak to him effectively.
Now, does anybody actually care at this point who wins this tournament?
Oh, the tournament immediately falls away.
Right.
Yeah, there's never like an establishment of, oh, if you win the tournament, you get $10,000, you get a vacation. Like, there's never any rhyme or reason to what the tournament is.
Well, I mean, someone watched this movie and said, what's happening with the tournament? And that's where Bloodsport comes from. Like, there has to be, like, where are the brackets? Where's the dude? Where's the referees? That's what Bloodsport is.
I mean, like, I think at one point, Han just looks at someone and goes, you fight today. It's like, there's no organization.
Well, and there's this dude, this like little peon with like a clipboard, and he goes, like the guy who fights Saxon. Mm-hmm. That's what he goes. He goes, you want to fight him? Like he's gesturing and pointing, and he goes, if you're just like, fine, I guess, but there should be a bracket. There should be a thing.
So the guy that beats up Williams in that fight with the iron hand, was that Han? Or?
That's Han.
That's Han, yeah.
Yeah, so Han approaches him, and he thinks that Williams was the dude who snuck out of his room at night.
Right.
And he goes, I snuck out to get some fresh air, but I wasn't the dude who broke into your, your factory. That was someone else. And he goes, so who was it? And he goes, I'm not telling, And he goes, I think I want to leave your tournament. And that's when he starts fighting. And he tries to hit the leather-clad hand, and it snaps back because it's actually metal, which is ridiculous. Again, it's Dr. No had a metal hand. But yeah, so this is a fight scene that goes on for about 6 minutes. Once we get here, there's 30 minutes left in the movie, and it's all fight scenes. It's remarkable. So, yeah, Williams gets the shit kicked out of him. They end up in the heroin den.
Well, Williams spoiler alert, dies. He gets drowned in the tank that's in the opening den.
Yeah, so Han is kicking the shit out of him. He first sends in like 4 guards, but the guards get dispatched pretty quickly. So Han decides to fight him. And he and Williams fight for like 3 scenes through 3 different sets. And they end up in like literally the heroin den. These women are just giggling, and the soundtrack is all Austin Powers psychedelic. And they have like painted faces, right? Like this, like hearts and shit painted on them, and they're just giggling as this man is getting literally beaten to death in front of them, which is really just something. But yeah, we don't see what happens other than the metal hand pulls away covered in blood before he is, like you said, ultimately drowned. We are then reintroduced to John Saxon, who's being brought into the heroin trade. He's being brought into the skag trade on his own. With Han saying, hey, you have a lot of debt. We should make sure that debt go away.
I'm still heroin with us.
You know what's a nice, clean alternative? Heroin. But, I mean, again, though, this screams just Bond scene. They're in an underground lair. There's shit going on. He's wearing a black tactile mech. Like, it's great. It's also kind of like, hey, you want to do business with us? Ignore all the horrible shit. Because they're like these prison cells with women who are, like, coming down off a horse, like, screaming. And John Saxon's like, so, what's going on over there? I don't know. Skag trade over here.
And who are all these people in cages? Oh, they were just homeless drunks we rounded up.
And they go, Shanghai? And they're like, shh. Or... yeah. Saxon's not too sure about all of this.
Though Lee was the spy who was actually trying to break everything up, and Saxon, I guess, was meant to be the recruit, and by the end, Saxon and Lee are on the same side, right?
Kind of. I also just want to introduce that the way he gets Saxon into this whole nonsense is that there's, like, a museum of torture devices. And, like, we have a Wolverine claw, which will come back later. But the end of this, because, again, he's Blofeld, there's a white cat that he's carrying around for some reason.
Look what you did to Mr. Bigglesworth.
That he puts in a guillotine. Can't emphasize this enough.
He dug well. I mean, that was a test for Williams, I think, and then for Roper. For Roper, you're right. And then Roper doesn't do it, so he's like, "Oh well, I'll show you how serious I am." And he puts the cat in there, and then Saxon saves the cat.
When he goes, you have 8 left, right? And then when Han pulls the cord, it's what leads him into the secret passage.
Right.
We smell the opium, which will become the heroin later, I guess. And Roper rejects her, kind of, sort of, saying that we all have our limits, yada, 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 which is a line that they use later. But we're reintroduced to the tournament at this point.
Even though the tournament, like we said, doesn't matter, this is more about Lee's spy mission.
It's nothing explained. Like, let's back up. This movie, if it wasn't so much fun, makes no sense. There's no purpose. There's no point.
Well, at this point, another fight happens between Saxon and Lee. So John Saxon and Bruce Lee, and from there, I guess Han dispatches some henchmen.
What happens at this point is Lee sneaks out a second time. And what he does is he goes down into the underground caves to send a message to Braithwaite.
That's right.
Right. And in order to prevent him from coming in, they've hilariously put a king cobra on top of the hatch that leads to the secret passageway, which he then captures. It looks like a real snake that Lee is handling with. But he throws it into a room with the guys controlling everything.
Yes, that's what's...
Which they then escape from by throwing a shit through a window.
Oh, Bond move, I think.
It's great. Lee then just kind of waltzes in, puts a foot on the snake's neck, sends a message to Braithwaite, who's asleep, and his secretary doesn't want to wake her.
That was totally the inspiration for Hard Target, by the way. I'm sure Jean-Claude Van Damme punches a rattlesnake out.
Dude, that's fucking phenomenal. I forgot about that. But he does. He punches a fake snake right in the face.
Twice, and then it slowly falls unconscious, and then he bites its rattler off.
That's right. He then fights off 1,000 guards, kind of, sort of. But then, like you said, as punishment, well, this is where Lee also starts killing people again, and the music slows down, and he's so excited to do so. This is where he apparently hits Jackie Chan in the face, which if you're blinking, you miss it, but Jackie Chan is in this for half a second.
Which Bruce Lee movie was Chuck Norris in?
Oh, wow.
Because he was in one.
Yeah. They had like a big fight in that. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I mean, Bruce Lee only has like 10 movies, so we could probably figure it out pretty easy.
Well, let's see. Let's find out then.
No, but at this point, as punishment, Roper has to fight Bolo. And I mean, it's I guess worth note that Bruce Lee is there too, and he's handcuffed and yada yada. We don't exactly know why one, not the other, but it is what it is. Bolo is like, I mean, he's fucking huge. It's funny that they let him beat him, right? Like Roper eventually does beat him. You would have thought Bruce Lee would have had to help, but he doesn't. Mei Ling at this point sneaks away and frees all the prisoners. And Han, pissed off that Bolo lost, essentially just orders all the remaining Kung Fu guys to just try to kill them all.
Which doesn't work, obviously. This is a Bruce Lee movie.
Well, because, to be fair, they are outnumbered, and that's why Mei Ling frees all the prisoners who just apparently just coming down off the DT shakes and are just beating the shit out of people, which is kind of great. At this point, Bruce Lee goes and chases down Han. Han first screws into his stump hand a bear claw.
Like, it's made out of cardboard with like a piece of rug on top of it.
And it's bad for it is the worst. But it gets stuck in a chunk of wood. So he runs back to his Museum of Oddities, and there is the Wolverine claw.
And that's what causes those famous shots of Bruce Lee all cut up on like his torso and face, is Han attacking him.
And he has cuts across his abs and across his pecs and on each of his cheeks, and he's fucking Bruce Lee. I mean, he looks like $1 million. Although, at one point, Han takes the spear, throws it at him, turns around the portal, and they end up in a house of mirrors. And none of this makes sense, but it's also incredible.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You got to do something because Bruce Lee is obviously going to kick the shit out of this guy.
Oh, and he already has.
Yeah. So you got to do something to spice it up.
And I guess just for your Bond fans, the next year is Man with the Golden Gun, where Chris Lee has a house of mirrors as Scaramanga.
Oh, sure. This is old lady from Shanghai. Is
Sure. Which is 50-something?
47,
45? No. But yeah, it's just great. And for half a second, like you said, it balances the field for half a second, where Han is against Bruce Lee and getting some, like, ninja scratches it. Like, he'll claw him from behind and then disappear again.
Well, for a while, though, they frustrate each other because they can't tell where the other is thanks to the mirror. So Han starts punching the mirrors.
Lee does.
Yeah, Lee does. That's right.
And then eventually he impales Han on the spear from the beginning, flipping around. It's a great shot. Meanwhile, Saxon is still sitting in a chair taking a breather from the fight from earlier when the helicopters show up. And then the movie just ends. Like, there's no explanation. You don't even know that. No.
I mean, we get a final shot of the bear hand still embedded in the wood, and then we get the end and roll credits.
Smash cut. Yeah. It's great. Daniel, would you recommend this movie?
I would recommend this movie. I mean, I'm worried these days that it's been picked so thoroughly clean. Like, we've mentioned some other things that have referenced it. So, going into it for the first time, people these days might think, what's so special about it? But back in the day, this was huge. And frankly, it still does what it does a lot better than its copycats.
Jerry?
Yeah, it's a fun movie, and we didn't really touch about it in the discussion, but the soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah.
It's from a 6-time Oscar nominee. He did the theme song for Mission Impossible, and it's just really great.
It's not Henry Mancini, is it?
No, Lalo Schifrin.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no real plot to this. You go see it for the martial arts, and in that case, it's really fun. Yeah, I mean, in today's world, it's not anything special, but just put it on, have some fun.
Well, if I may jump back in one quick second, there's an easy way that you can like this movie, and that is with the following advice. Don't think, feel.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it. When I saw it earlier this year, it was on Netflix. So, I mean, now it's on HBO. It's around. It's not hard to find, shockingly. A lot of Chinese or Hong Kong films of the 70s are possible to find. This one's actually pretty easy. So it's not a bad end to a world of 1,000 other movies. But yeah, I mean, the benefit is that it is a very simple nonsense plot. Like, some of the later Bond movies were trying to keep track of them. Oh, God, who gives a shit? This is a fighting movie. And like I said, the last 30 minutes is pretty much one constant fight scene. And some have repercussions and some don't. Like, yeah, it's incredible. So if you can find it, watch it. And it's easy to find. There's worse ways to spend 100 minutes. So, anyway, guys, thanks for listening, subscribing, rating us, watching us. We have a YouTube channel. It's just episodes otherwise. But, however you listen to us, you can. And also consider joining the Patreon, patreon.com/myobia. Thanks for listening.
Myopia Movies is a podcast production of Dude Letter Podcasting and is produced by Nick Hoffman. It is edited by Nerd Trinette and Daniel Sudis and is hosted by Nick Hoffman, with production assistance by Matthew Quinn, Daniel Sudis, and Nerd Trinette. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from Incomptech.com. Licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 4 license, Creative Commons /licenses by /4.0. Thanks.